afternoon to everyone. Thanks to be here. I am so glad to have the opportunity to share with you some of my professional experience. When I started to think about a possible argument, a possible topic of this presentation, I realized that the most recurrent word in my work, in my experience, was the word change. Every company asked me to do important changes, and everyone, all of us, we are every day asked to change something, to change in our work, in our life, our way to do things, our relation, our behavior. But the important question is, are we ready for the change? And most important, more important, is there someone that will try to resist this change and to stop us in changing? In my experience, I learned that embrace the change is something very easy to say, but very difficult to do. When it could be reasonably easy and fast to change the processes, to change the structure, the organization, your team, but it's very, very hard to change the head of the people, to change the culture of your organization. Few words about me. I am Tania Campanelli. I am Italian. I am a mathematician. I started to work more than 26 years ago as developer. I developed software for many years, mainly geometrical algorithms for computer-aided design systems. And I work in many different kinds of companies, software houses, but also small company doing services or production, consumer goods production, company with thousands of employees and startup. Today, I am software engineering director, and I am responsible for more or less 50 people spread around the world. The company is DP Technology, is an international company with headquarters in California. The important thing is to share with you is the fact that we have multiple development centers, not only in California, but also in Europe, so France, Italy, Germany, and Russia. The flagship product is Esprit, that is a computer-aided manufacturing system. We are in the market since more than 30 years, so the product is a very mature one, complete and very well known in the market. So let's go back to the main topic, the change. I guess that most part of you know the famous percentage, 70% of the change initiative miserably fail. I'm not sure that if this number is a myth or it is really confirmed, but for sure we know that when you start a change, the risk to fail is very, very high. The reason could be a lot, many reasons, many different reasons, but these two are, in my experience, the most common ones. The first one, that is the illusion that we already know in advance. We have a very well-known predefined target point, arrival point in our change. And the second one, the fact that we omit too often, we disregard the head of the people, the culture that you have in your company. We will spend more time on the culture, but I would like to say a few words about the dream that we have, on the fact that we know in advance where we will be at the end of our change. It's normal. It's normal because our brain has the obsession. We are trying to explain everything with a set of linear cause-effect relations. We want to believe that we can achieve our target just with a set of consecutive, chained, linear cause-effect steps. We want the illusion that if we start for a very well-known starting point, we will achieve our very well-known target with a linear path. And in the middle, some magic. We are always looking for a magic recipe, just a set of ingredients that we know in advance. We have just to put them together, follow the recipe, and our change will be done. One of the ingredients, one of the ideas inside this magic is the fact that we want to live the illusion that we can obtain the same success of another company, of another person, just repeating the same actions, the famous best practices. This company was successful doing this, I will do exactly the same things, and I will achieve the same success. Pushed also by a lot of books that I personally read, and I liked them, trying to convince us that if you take first in the morning the shower and then you take your breakfast and not vice versa, you will surely become the new Steve Jobs. Unfortunately, this does not work. Why it doesn't work? Because an organization is not a machine. An organization, a company, is a complex adapting system. It's a net of services that are influencing each other. So this complexity can't be ruled just by a set of linear cause-effect actions, steps. A complex adaptive system is the result of an evolutionary process which can't be exactly replicated, never. So, it's very important to know that we are acting when we start changing something complex, not easy. Few words about complexity. I'm sure that most part of you already knows the CVS Framework. So I will go very straightforward just for the ones that don't know it. It's a framework invented by David Snowden. And it is helping, it is trying to categorize system, domains, problems in different areas. If you are acting in a domain that is on the right side, you are in an ordered domain where things are replicable. So obvious, very simple, best practices are working. If you repeat exactly the same things, you are sure that you will obtain the same results. I know how to eat an ice cream or how to ring a bell. It's obvious, it's always the same. Then there is the complicated area where, again, things are still replicable, but you need an expert. Assembling a watch or creating a car. If I disassemble my watch and I am the expert, I'm able to obtain it back, assemble it back, just replicating the same actions. Then you go on the side, on the left side, where you have the chaotic domain. In this area, you need to act. Your actions are under pressure, in urgency. You are forced to do something. You can't think about a plan, about the best solution, the best impact of your actions. Your house is burning. You have just to do something. You don't know if your action will produce the result that you want, or your house will be completely burned. Then there is, okay, the disorder is something, is an area where you don't know where you are, who you are. You should not stay there for a long period. You should move somewhere in one of the other areas. Then there is the complex area. And it is the area where the companies stay. This domain is a complex domain where best practices are not working. It's a complex system where each action can influence the system itself. You can't know in advance how things will go. So, as an example, I have to light a fire in a wood. I can't do a plan because I don't know a lot of things. I don't know, first of all, if I will be able to light the fire. Even if I will succeed, I don't know if it will start raining. And in case, if I protected well or not enough my fire. It could happen that a lot of wind will arrive and I will burn the whole wood. So after all, after I can understand things and I can have emergent practices. I can learn, but after, I can't do it in advance. The same it is for the constraints. Rigid constraints can't work because we have a lot of unknown things. This is very important. Before starting any kind of change, you need to understand that you are working in a complex environment. Second point, it's important that you know why you want to change. It's emulation, it's fashion, everyone is doing this change in this period, it's desperation, it's the last time you try, then you kill everyone. Whatever it is the reason, it's important that you share it with everyone, especially with the people that will be impacted by this change. The top-down approach doesn't work if you don't explain the why, the reason why people should change. And before starting any change, it's important that you understand your needs. Very often, we confuse wants versus needs. And this is something that is creating a lot of demotivation. It happens every day, even in my current company. When we are defining the new product, customers are asking a lot of features they want, but often we understand that many of them were not what the customer really needed. So it's important that you do all this step, this clarification before starting the change. Let's go back to the second reason. Second, not in priority. The other reason of the failure, the culture. The culture you have in your company. It's usually the company is focusing a lot on the results. That is correct, because a company must be profitable. The results must be good. The results are the consequence of actions that people do in your company. It can happen that, especially when the results are not so good, that we go back, we try to check the action and change them, hoping that this change will produce the results we were expecting. Typical example is that you have a plan, you are in delay, so something went wrong. You go back and say, yes, we didn't do this plan very well. We did wrong estimation, so let's do the plan even better. Let's try to have a plan more detailed. This is something stupid. It doesn't work, but it's something that it happens. It is a mechanism that it happens very often. Why it doesn't work? Because the actions are shaped by the beliefs of the company, the values that you have in the company, the culture that you have in the company. And the culture is it's produced by the experiences, direct or indirect, that the people do in your company. So, if we look at this pyramid, we can look at it as an iceberg, where usually managers are working, strange, the E is on the wrong side. Managers are focusing on the upper side. They try to change actions to get better results. But if we really want to change the results, we need to act on the bottom part. We need to change the culture of our company. And to do this, you need a leader. You need a guide that will try to change the experiences, and this will change the culture, and this eventually will produce different actions and different results. So we understood that we need to act at culture level. But how do we understand our culture? The only way to do it, in my experience, is to do an assessment, to evaluate it. It takes a lot of courage, because it could happen that you are burned at the end of the assessment and that you find a lot of shit, a lot. It's very easy that you will find a lot of negative things. And to do this, you also need a model to support you, something helping you in mapping your culture. You can choose whatever you want. I mean, there are tons of models you can find online. Personally, I started using the CVF. That is a framework that is trying to split a culture in 4 different quadrants. Each quadrant is based on this categorization is based on stability versus flexibility and internal focus versus external focus. Each one of these 4 quadrants represent the 4 major models of the organization and management theory. And depending on how much each component is influencing, is present in your company, you will be positioned in a different way, and you will have a different kind of culture, different kind of leaders, different kind of values in your company. If you have a lot of control and a lot of internal focus, you will have the culture type hierarchy, where leaders are controllers. Everyone will be controlled on everything. Everything you are doing will be controlled, will be monitored, planned, scheduled, efficiency, uniformity, standardization, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of process. If you still have a lot of control, but you are focusing versus the market, you have a different kind of culture where the orientation is competition, where the leader is an hard pusher, is asking every day more and more and more. You have to go aggressively on the market. Then there is the clan, control, but less control, flexibility, but internal focus. It is a kind of family organization where the leader is a facilitator, a motivator, where there is team building, communication, participation, and then adhocracy, innovation, creativity, adaptability, flexibility. It is typical of the startup, where you can take risk and you have leaders that are visionary entrepreneurs. No one company stays exactly in one of these quadrants. Usually, your company culture is a combination of these 4 components. But the combination is important. How much each one of these components is weighting, your culture will be completely different. I suggest, at least from my experience, to do an assessment, not only doing a survey, but also, especially, doing a conversation, one-to-one conversation, talking about stories, about narratives, understanding what is really going on in your company. Because at the end, you have to agree on a cultural profile. Why? Because if you want to change something, you need to understand where you are. This is the typical result, the map, the cultural map of your company. You can see the 4 axes, and the polygon can change, obviously, depending on the weights, on the values of each component. Just an example, just to let you understand that the cultural profile is changing along the years, must change, especially if you are doing changes in your company. Apple, you can see that the profile 1, it was at the beginning, a lot of adhocracy. It was just a startup, so innovation, creativity, flexibility, no rules, no team, there were 2 people. And then it changed a lot, and today you have a lot of focus on market and organization, hierarchy, because the company is completely different. What happened in DP technology? I came on board 2 years ago, and I started with the assessment. It took more or less 2 months, because I went physically in each site, development site, and I had a face-to-face meeting with everyone, conversation with everyone. And at the end, the result has been shared not only with the team, but with also with the executives. And I can tell you, it took a lot of courage, because as usual, you find a lot of negative things that most part of the people probably knew, but no one wants to realize which kind of problems you have in your company. I'm not going, obviously, to list and to discuss this. My message, what I would like you to understand is that you get a lot of information with this first assessment, not only a cultural map, but a lot of things, of problems that people will raise. And the outcome will be not only related to the culture, but also, in our case, at least on the product and the process, because they are strictly actions and culture are strictly related. In our case, it was particularly important, this part, because when I joined the company, the R&D was in a bad situation because the company decided 5 years before to change, to define, to design, and to develop the new generation of the product, of Esprit. And the R&D was in delay. And so there was no trust, demotivation, not in spirit. And I was expecting a specific kind of map at the end. That was this one, exactly what I was expecting. A lot of a hierarchy. Why? When there is no delegation, no trust, people are controlled. So there was a steering committee, an executive committee, meeting, weekly meeting, big bureaucracy, processes, plans, completely unuseful. But in this situation, it was normal. Team spirit, clan was really low, no space for creativity, no space for innovation, and no time for talking, interaction with the customer. We also, as I said before, you have to check your needs. So obviously, the company needs was you have to deliver the new product with a decent quality. But this means a lot of things working on we had a lot of a hierarchy and a low value of clan. So we needed to work a lot on the people, on transparency, visibility, interaction with the customer. And the same on product and processes. We didn't have a good development process. We didn't check the quality. We didn't test in an automatic way. A lot of things that came out during the assessment. So this is a very important first step. We agreed that after the first map and the first analysis of the needs, we agreed together to do this kind of change. This was the direction we decided together. So we could not change everything at the same time because you failed. So we decided do not do anything on innovation, on the advocacy part now, but focus a lot on decreasing the hierarchy and increasing the clan, and a little bit of interaction with the customer market. This kind of map, the one related to the CVF, is very important, very useful, but it is still a high-level map. You can also decide to go more in detail and to analyze additional domain. The more domain you analyze, the best profile of your culture you have. There are specific products. I put here SenseMaker. I never used it directly so far, but I know people that did it, and they were very excited. This product is good because through stories, through narratives, it is able to transform this bunch of data in something similar to this one, to a different map related to different domains. In this case, in this example, you can see that the stories asked to the people were related to how you do things, fast or right, depending on the pressure from the executives or auto-generated. This kind of map can also be seen as a set of islands where you can see clearly the aggregation, and you can see that the people think they do things fast when the pressure is coming from the management, and they do things right when the pressure is self-generated. So these kind of narrative landscapes are helpful to understand, again, your starting point. Through this product, you can also add the feeling. If you add the feeling, green one, positive feeling, red one, negative feeling, you can also start to understand which is the direction you must go. we know, I just said it, that the path could not be linear. We know that life is tough and you could have barriers, but anyway, we don't have a specific target. We have a direction. What it is important that you find the right way to go there. Okay, so we understood that we need to act at the culture level. We map our culture. We found the direction we want to go. So now, what's next? Again, I'm boring, but the key are the people. You can't just ask people to change. They have to gain something. You have to explain to them why they should change. People don't resist change. They resist to be changed. So if they are convinced that they want to change and they define the change with you, you will surely have less risk to fail. Experience. You can talk for months, but if you ask people to experience, the new way to work is the best way to convince people. You can't run initiative like projects, obviously, because there is no known outcome, there is no predefined path, there is no plan a priori, and blah, blah, blah. So, which is the strategy for the change? Look for volunteers, first of all. I can tell you, if you do a one-to-one assessment, you will always find volunteers that want to change. They will be the key for your success. They will spread the virus. Small incremental change, small steps, experiments that can fail. Or if they succeed, you can see it, you can prove it in a very short time. And depending on that, you remember, we have the direction, but we need to find our paths. So it's very important that you do small steps and you adjust the successive one. Set direction and enabling constraint, not rigid rules. And you have to delegate. This is something very difficult, but if you don't delegate, you don't distribute, you don't decentralize the control, you are not able to react quickly. Share it, make it visible. Enabling constraint, just a few words, we could talk for months on this, but it's a kind of heuristic instead of rules. It's a way to open a set of options, an area, give the possibility to the people to self-organize, but just giving some limit. An example, the Marines, if during the battle the plan is failing, the heuristic, the enabling constraint is stay in touch, keep moving, look for the high ground, that's all. Everything else you have to find it, you have to self-organize. This is the enabling constraint. Learn fast. Experiments that can fail. If you are not failing, you are cheating yourself. You are not really changing anything. People must know that failures is good. It's important that you learn to fail fast and you learn to fail less. Establish a regular cadence, the rhythm of the change. Otherwise, the risk is to stop. Ceremonies and rituals are very useful. Every 2 weeks you do a specific meeting, every day you do the daily stand-up meeting. This is very helpful to monitor things and to understand how things are going. We did in TP technology, after the assessment, after the direction we decided to take, we decided to move to the Agile methodology. That was the exact match to everything I said so far. Short iteration, early feedback, value to the customer, continuous loop, continuous improvement. We started to adopt Scrum, and we started to define for the first time a project portfolio board, Kanban board. Again, small step, early feedback, sprints, 2 weeks sprints, continuous review of the user needs, of the backlog. We started with I said parallel experiments, some of them could fail, so few pilot projects with a restricted team, and depending on the result, we decided then how to roll out. Ceremonies, rituals, daily stand-up, sprint review, sprint planning meeting, retrospective, this is very helpful. the project portfolio board was wonderful to understand, to make everything visible. It was put in a big, in a place where everyone passing there could sit. And it's very important because you see immediately where you have bottlenecks, where you have problems. And this helped us a lot to understand where we were with the product and what we missed. Once you start the change, you have to inspect and adapt. Again, the direction is clear, but if you go in the wrong direction, the opposite one, you have to change something. The word of the change, it's important that you start hearing what is going on, because if you start hearing words like trust, alignment, autonomy, value, experiment, this means that something in the mindset, in the culture, is changing, is good. Spread the virus. Look for volunteers, small teams, even separated. You know that most part of the people will be adverse to you, but you have a neutral zone where you can spread the virus. The adverse culture will send antibodies for sure. So be ready to protect with barriers the new culture, but also you must be able to create some connectors, something that could help you to defend, but also to talk with the neutral zone and to spread the virus. Okay, it has been tough in DP technology, a lot of adverse culture, only in R&D, not outside. The adverse culture was inside ourselves, so it took a lot to change some behaviors. But a lot of good things happened in this 1 year and a half. We have been able to deliver the first release of the product with the decent, good quality. We know where we are, and we know also that we are at the beginning of a never-ending journey, but we learned a lot. We are still working with the coaches, Agile coaches, because we are still, again, at the beginning. And we are going to do a new cultural assessment soon to understand how changed our cultural map. So, don't change everything. Start with something. Look for, map the culture. Look for volunteers. Do not set fixed rules, rigid rules, but enabling constraints. Run multiple parallel experiments. Learn, inspect, and adapt, and loop, keep going. Never stop changing. This is one of the major risks. If you say, okay, now we are good, we did a lot of things, we can now define the best practices and stop, you are really losing everything. Be ready for the unexpected. I mean, negative and positive. What it is important is you are ready to adapt yourself and to use also these unexpected things. You have to continue to push the change. In few months, you can lose what you gained. So it's something that you must continue to do. Just to finish, now I think, can we answer to my first question? Are we ready for the change? Yes, we are ready. And we know that there will be a lot of people trying to push him back and to refuse the change. But we also know that the key of the success are the person, are the people. And most important, when we start the change, we must know that there is no predefined path. The path of the change will emerge exactly from the first moment you will start to work on it. Thank you.
Thank you for your inspiring speech and for your experience and for your advices. So, questions, please.
Hello, and thank you very much for your presentation. It was very good to hear your experience, and I also found a lot of aligns with my own experience. But how do you think, who should who should be a center of this intention to change? should be top management, shareholders, or it could be just small developer like junior developers that just came back, just got to the company and would like to change the culture of it?
I can say what was my experience. In my experience, the change usually has been, I mean, you need the commitment in my case, of the director. I mean, I've been one of the people that pushed the most on this change. But it is also true that you can't do it if you don't have some people, developers, people of your team that wants to change. So the answer is both. It could also happen that the change is coming from the team. It is important that you find what I call the change agents. The change agents. I mean, you need someone some volunteer that is working with you. If you have someone from the executives, it's obviously better because it will be more easy to decentralize the power. You will have the commitment of an important role in the company that will help to have people working on this new culture. But it can't be done by just the executive or just a team. You should have a mixed team, someone at all levels.
I heard that there should be some commitment from the top management anyway to be ready to change.
In my experience, it was not true. I mean, obviously, if you have the commitment of the executive, you are very happy. I mean, it didn't happen so far in my experience. What I did most part of the time when the commitment was not coming from the executive, I mean, they wanted to change, but in reality, they didn't want. We started with a small team, really small team with a very local pilot project. And without even explaining too much, we were continuing to do the Gantt, to update it every 2 weeks, even if we never used it. But it was important because we started to create some curiosity. We did small experiments, very easy to validate. So it was clear to everyone that we did something good, we obtained something positive, and then you start. When you have, as I was saying, experience is very important instead of word. Even when you have to report to the executive, if I tried when I was very young just to talk, this is good, we can do this, but it doesn't work. If you go there with numbers, with measures, it's difficult to say you are not right. So my suggestion is try locally with few people. You are able to find the right people, always, always. And then measure, try to report, try to put Kanban board in some place where physical one, where people can see. I mean, curiosity is even the people that don't want to change, they start to ask. At least for my experience, you can do it even without the complete commitment of the executives.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more short question, please. Tania.
First of all, thank you for your report. Small question. What the most, as I understand, you work with different cultures, with different countries, with different people. What the most, for you, interesting national problems, national features that you first in your work?
National, I mean, from the cultural point of view?
Yeah, cultural point of view.
It's a difficult question. I mean, I enjoy to work with many different cultures, and every culture is really completely different. You have to approach them in a different way. Obviously, I love to work with Italian people because I'm Italian. It's difficult. I have to say that if I have to choose, I loved to work with Indian people. I had more than 60 people in one of my previous companies, developers in India, in Bangalore, and I spent the first 1 year fighting with them because I tried to replicate my culture in India. And I took 1 year, more than 1 year to understand that it was wrong. But once we understood each other, it has been, I mean, they are really brilliant, technically speaking, really brilliant from the software development point of view. And they are always very positive, propositive, trying to do their best. So yeah, if I have to choose, for sure India, but every culture has positive things. Italian is the best, but Russia is the second one.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I just want to ask one little question. There is a plot with where axes are like do it right and do it fast, pressure from yourself or pressure from managers, and what is the Z axis?
No, it's
just the numbers of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's exactly the same result of the planner one.
Just a frequency map.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, maybe that's all. Tania Campanelli, DP Technology.
Thanks
Thank you.